Now, again, I know that failure is not supposed to be a word that's in our dictionary. We're never supposed to utter the word failure. We live in a success club today where nobody ever wants to even talk about the possibility of failure. And I have heard some of these guys who lecture and they give these talks on success and lecture on how not to be a failure. And they'll say something like this: you'll never have failure if you're walking with the Lord, if you're dedicated to Him. You will never have a failure. Hey, look right here. Who told you that? There's just one thing wrong with that. It's wrong. It's just not true. When I read my Bible, I see where Abraham failed, and Jacob failed, and Moses failed, and David failed, and Peter failed, and a whole lot of other folks that I can't even remember this morning failed as well. It's not that we don't fail, it's that we learn from our failures. It's not that we don't fail, it's that we pick up the pieces and we go on again. And so again, the question this morning is, how do you respond to failure? Now, Peter had been fishing all night long. He hadn't caught a thing, not a thing, not one, not even a sucker, not one stinking fish had he caught all night long. And I need you to understand here this morning that fishing wasn't his vacation. So, how many of you guys here this morning, you love to fish? Can I see your hands? You love to fish. Raise your hands. I love all of our folks headed on vacation. Matter of fact, in just a few moments, as soon as we get done here, the Whitt family, we are headed on vacation. You're lucky I didn't come to preach in swimming trunks this morning. You understand that? Because I just can't wait to get down there, and I watch all your pictures from the beach and from the mountains. You guys are surf fishing, all those sorts of things. You love to fish. Well, that's your vacation. Fishing was not Peter's vacation. Fishing was Peter's vocation. It was his job. He had to he had to catch fish in order to pay the bills. And by the way, business wasn't looking really good for Peter on this particular day. And so what could he have done? Well, he could have quit and just be honest. If I had fished all night long and I hadn't caught just one little stinking sorry. Not even a sucker. He didn't even catch a sucker that night. And they hadn't caught anything. If I had done that all night long and not caught a fish, I would not be washing my nets. I would not be mending my nets. I would be selling my nets. I'd be done, quit, I'm gone, get rid of it. All the rods, everything. I have had it. I can't do this anymore. He could have quit. Or he could have made excuses. He could have said, well, there are hundreds of boats on that lake, and the lake's not even that big, really big of a lake anyway. And you can't catch fish every time you go out to fish. And ladies, if you are married to a fisherman, have you heard something like that before? You spent how much on a boat? You spent how much on rods and reels? You spent how much on bait? You spent how much on license? You spent how much on gas? How many hours have you spent out there on that lake and you caught what? He could have made excuses, or he could have played the blame game. He could have blamed everybody else. They got my spot. I knew where the fish were going to be that day, and they got up earlier than I did. Or I got there and they moved me out of the way. He could have blamed somebody else. He could have blamed God. But Peter didn't try to escape. He acknowledged. He admitted that he had failed. He accepted it. And now he's getting ready to go right back at it again. And I think that's one of the reasons why Jesus called fishermen. If you study the Gospels, you're going to discover that at least 6, if not indeed 7 of the 12 disciples, 12 apostles, were fishermen. You know why I think that is? Because fishermen don't quit. They don't quit. Again, you're married to a fisherman. They go out there, they don't catch anything, they're going right back. They don't catch anything, they're going right back. They're just going to go out. They're the eternal optimists, if you will. And so again, you got to remember with Peter, we're not talking here about a hobby, we're talking about his life, a job. And Peter was so close to success, he was just a few hours away from the biggest catch of fish in his entire life. And here he is getting ready to go right back out there again. It's really worth coming to church for this morning, and I'm really, really, really glad that you're here. I shared this with the other 2 services, and I want to share this with you today. As you read here in Luke chapter 5, if you don't see anything else, see this. And that is the fact that you never know just how close success really is. And by the way, failure isn't on the outside, failure's on the inside. The problem with failure isn't the circumstances, it is the feelings within us. You feel like you failed. You feel like you're going to write your resignation. I told the other services today, what you all don't know, Josh knows this, Mondays are when preachers write their resignation. We're done. You walk down the hall, you say hi to 13 people, you didn't say hi to the 14th, and somebody says, he don't even talk to nobody. He didn't say hi to me today. I didn't like he didn't wear a tie. Did you see? He didn't wear a tie again today. I can't believe he didn't wear a tie. And so people get mad at you. So Mondays is when we write our resignations. Just about every Monday, we just quit. Aren't you glad he didn't quit? Aren't you glad that when you get to that point, the Lord comes along and says, hey, don't quit. Don't quit. How do you respond to failure this morning? What do you do when things don't go like you think they should have gone? What do you do when people don't do like you think that they should have done? What do you do? Do you give up? Do you quit? Do you sell your nets? Do you give them away? Do you walk away from them? Or do you wash them, mend them, and get right back in there again? But why? Because you never know how close success really is. Watch this. John chapter 21, Peter again had fished all night long. Hadn't caught a fish. You know, at this point, if I were Peter, I'd have started thinking, maybe I'm in the wrong line of business. But in John 21, again, he had fished all night long, hadn't caught a fish. Jesus told him, watch this. Jesus said, cast your nets on the other side of the boat. And when he did, he had a great catch of fish. So watch this. In John 21, the difference between success and failure for Peter was the width of a boat. The width of a boat was the difference between success and failure in the life of Peter. When you come to John chapter 5, the difference between success and failure is not the width of a boat. It is just a matter of a few hours. Don't be impatient. Don't run away.